fabric already to show you how to cut out the pieces for the gray quilt or the hip to be square quilt. I have chosen 3 different shades of gray, a light, a medium, and a dark. The dark shade is going to be my outer portion of the square. So for that, I have part of it cut already. So you're going to need to cut your strips into 2.5 inches wide, and then I have cut 2 strips 10.5 inches long. I still need to cut 2 strips out of this darker fabric, 6.5 inches long. Everything is 2.5 inches wide. And so this light square is going to be the middle part, and that is 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. I still need to cut the medium, and that is, I'm going to have two strips that are 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches, and then 2 strips that are 2.5 inches by 6.5 inches. So I've measured this off. It's 2.5 inches by 6.5 inches. I just need to make the cut. Cutting the 6.5 inch length of this fabric now. The 2.5 inch squares as well. So now I'm going to sew these two together, and then I'll sew this on the other side. So I sewed these together and then finger pressed the seams going outwards. And so now I'm going to go ahead and sew these 6-inch lengths to the top and the bottom. Finish sewing the top and the bottom of the middle, and so now I'm going to sew on the 6.5 inch in the darks on either side of this. And then I'll go ahead and sew them the 10.5 inch strip on the top and bottom. Here's the finished square, and it is 10.5 inches by 10.5 inches. And when I made the quilt, not all of them turned out so well. Some of them were shorter than that, and so I just squared them up all to the same size. So, you know, if you make a mistake, that's fine. Nobody's going to go to a ruler with a ruler to your quilt to measure every square. You want to make them line up, and so that's why I trimmed them off so that the corners would meet. But so I sewed these seams 1/4 inch, and I finger pressed everything out. The nice thing about this is that the next block that you put right next to it will go the other way. So none of your seams have to match. I've been working on this quite a while, probably around 10 months off and on. It was originally intended to be a wedding quilt, but it's been a while since the couple has been married. As soon as I get it done, I will give it to them. They don't know about it. Right now I am working on hand quilting part of it. I did machine quilt horizontal and vertical lines. But when I started to do the inner design, it was just puckering too much on the machine. So I picked out what I had done. Luckily, I hadn't gotten too far on it. I picked out what I had done, and I decided to do the inner squares, this larger one, and then the smaller one by hand quilting. And so I got this hoop. It's plastic, and as you can see, it's 10 inches in diameter. And it's worked out fairly well for me. So there are 72 squares, and each one of these units here has taken me an hour and a half to quilt by hand. This quilt is a full to queen size. I made it to fit a queen size bed, and it will fit a queen size bed pretty well. It is 88 inches in width and 98 inches in length. I got the pattern from a tutorial that Donna Jordan on Jordan Fabrics did, and it is called the Hip to Be Square quilt pattern. So if you want to check that out, search her on YouTube, search either Jordan Fabrics or Hip to Be Square quilt, and that will also give you the dimensions and the measurements on that. Hers wasn't quite as big as this one, but it was beautiful. The fabrics were really beautiful. I have used a lot more fabrics. Mine is scrappier looking, just from what I was able to find at different stores. But you basically do a light, medium, and dark fabrics. I'll show you in another view the whole quilt and how it looks. I have 14 different fabrics on this, and then I also have a different backing because I was able to get this in a wider width. So I went ahead and got this, and I think it will look nice. I do think it looks nice. I also have borders on this. I have, let me see, I think it's a 2-inch, so the polka dot, the dark polka dot is a 2-inch border, well, 2.5 inches before sewing, 2 inches afterwards finished, and then this paisley, kind of gray paisley, is a 3-inch border, 3.5 inches before sewing. These blocks are 10 inches after sewing. I have 3 squares left to do, so I'm pretty happy about that. And then I have a little bit of machine quilting that I picked out by mistake that I have to redo. And it's taken me so long to do a wedding quilt for these kids that I hope they still like gray. And I hope it still fits into their bedroom colors. I can talk about it on YouTube because I'm pretty confident that they're not going to be watching quilting videos. I consider myself, even though I've been doing it for about 5 or 6 years, I consider myself still a beginner. So I'm just here to show you that you can do something, even if you're not a skilled seamstress, you can make something like a quilt for a bedspread or a lap quilt or a baby quilt, and it will turn out nice. And you can share your talents or your skill with people in that way. I have the walking foot set up on my machine, and I like to drape it. When I'm working with a quilt this size, I like to drape it all over my table to help me. I don't have a whole lot to sew on this. I've been working on this for a long time, and I machine sewed it, and I made a mistake and I picked out some, and I picked out the wrong seam. So that's what I'm doing now, is sewing up the part that I picked out that I shouldn't have. And after that, this will be a completed quilt. So, but this gives me an opportunity to show you how it looks when you're machine quilting a quilt of this size, or any quilt if you've never done it before. So I am going to, I have it on the spot where I left off, and I am going to tack it down. I have white thread on the bottom because, as you can see, my backing material is pretty light, and I have a gray thread on the top thread. Stitching in the ditch as I go, outlining the larger part of the square. When I was machine quilting this at first, I had it all pinned together with safety pins, but I've since taken those out since I have quilted mostly everything. And I'm coming to the part where I need to end, so I just wanted to clip that thread that showed me where it was at. And I'll go ahead and tack that down. I had planned on making a wedding quilt for my kids and had bought the fabric a couple of years ago, and so I used what I had. This fabric here, the outer part of the square, that was from Hobby Lobby, and also this paisley, and I believe even this polka dot was from Hobby Lobby. The cute little owls was a fat quarter from Walmart, and so was this middle square. The outer square on this, I believe I got at Joann's. This darker fabric was from Hobby Lobby, and This pearl bracelets was from the 35th Avenue Fabric Shop. This lighter material here I just love, and that was from Joann's, I think. This kind of swirly paisley was from Hobby Lobby. Anyway, this shows you how it would look if you tucked it in over the pillows. I am planning on making some pillowcases out of this fabric, but I don't have them done yet. But I will show you how it looks when it's turned down with some other pillowcases that I have that match. So there you have the finished product. I guess I need to get this folded up and finish the pillowcases that I'm going to make to go with it, and then send it off to my son and his wife. A couple of years late, but a finished quilt nevertheless. Thank you for joining me.